Now joining us on the Sideline Sports Show with Bryson DC is Miami, Ohio men's basketball coach Travis Steele. Coach, thank you so much for joining us here on the show. And I know our audience is probably like, you guys are based in Fort Wayne. Why are you guys having the Miami, Ohio men's basketball coach? Well, we're in Indiana show. We try to promote, people from Indiana. You're an Indiana native down in Danville. You've, been all around the Hoosier state, as far as high school basketball. You're an assistant with IU as well. So, we wanted to bring you on and, highlight, a Hoosier who is doing well, even though it's over in Ohio right now. But thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, guys, man. You're taking me back to all my Indiana days, man. Ben Davis High School, Butler, and then obviously from Danville. I coached AAU and Indiana Elite and with Indy Heat. So I got a lot of Indiana ties, man. Love it. Love the state.
Yeah, which is why, real quick, Bryce, like full transparent here. So before anyone, people that may question why we have a Miami, Ohio coach on, we've been talking about your program for weeks, Coach. So we were raising the awareness long before all these other bandwagoners started hopping on. So
I love it.
I just wanted to make sure that was clear. We were one of the first to take notice of this Indiana guy doing big things.
I love it. I appreciate it.
Yeah. You mentioned the Indiana Elite there in the Indy Heat. You coached in the early 2000s, and I was trying to look up names last night because I knew we were having you on, and I was like, there's some big names that came out of those programs, those AAU programs based here in Indiana. What was it like coaching some of those big names, and who were some of the guys that you had the opportunity to coach in that program?
Yeah, I was super fortunate to be around those guys at a young age, man. I was super young. And whether it was Eric Gordon, whether it was Dominique James, Armand Bassett, Chris Kramer, it goes on and on, man. I was very fortunate to be around some really talented young men, and hopefully they would say I helped them too. Because that's all I was trying to do, man, just make them better. But what a great experience for me at a young age, like I said, man, to be able to coach some really talented dudes.
So, Coach, I want to know I know you've been doing a lot of interviews, looking at your X feed, and you're looking at your profile. So how are you handling the spotlight now?
Yeah, it's been pretty smooth, like it's part of the job, like, right? Like is the more just the more exposure we can get Miami University, the better. This university is it's special. It's a special place. Why we came here 3 years ago is I believed in the school itself and the mission. I would love for my kids to go to school here. I got 3 little ones, man. I'd love for them to go to Miami. And then, listen, as part of building our men's basketball program, right? 3 years ago when we first got here, shoot, man, nobody was covering us, to be quite frank. And we had a long ways to go. We had to rebuild it. And so this is part of the rebuild, So again, just very fortunate to be in these positions.
Do you enjoy being in the spotlight, or are you the person that, growing up has kind of like, chat away and I don't want to be talked about, but, maybe, as you said, it kind of comes with the territory as you guys are gaining more and more notoriety. Do you enjoy being in that spotlight?
I'm good either way, to be honest with you. It doesn't bother me if I'm not in the spotlight, and listen, we'll lean right into it when we need to. And, but again, I'm happy for our players and our staff, right? Like they deserve all the credit. They deserve all the attention that they're getting. I'm happy for the university. Like I said, man, it's awesome to see the exposure our university's getting. And, listen, we got a lot of Indiana guys on our staff too, man. We got Jonathan Holmes.
Ben Botts.
Ben Botts, a little Muncie Central guy. We got Christian Smith Pike. Elijah Pennington Pike. We got a lot of Indiana guys. Got Justin Kirby, Fisher's player. He's a freshman. And Peter Suiters Carmel, obviously, he's a senior. He's one of the best players in the country. And I'm just happy that those guys, right, are very deserving of the attention that they're getting. Because all of our players and staff, man. Because again, I'm just fortunate to be along for the ride.
So as this season, because it's unheard of. I mean, these kind of seasons don't happen. So how are you guys? I mean, I'm sure you're taking it game by game, probably even deeper than that, probably just like play by play even. But how do you handle the pressure going from game to game with this record and with all this media attention behind you? How do you approach it as coach?
Yeah, nothing really changes. Really don't bat an eye. We prepare the same way as we did at the beginning of the year when we were 0-0, right? But it's, getting to know the other team's personnel, knowing their tendencies on offense and defense, how we're going to attack them, executing our system defensively and offensively, and just be committed to each other. And because it is funny, it's like everywhere you go, we're getting everybody's best shot. Mm-hmm. And everybody's having sold out crowds. And what we are here at Millett Hall, here on Miami's campus. And then also when you go to UMass, sold out. Toledo, Bowling Green, Kent State, everywhere is packed. And it's a lot of fun. It can become overwhelming if you start worrying about the wrong things, but just keep the main thing. And our guys have done a tremendous job of that.
Has there been, with all this attention and, all these people reaching out and obviously you have, a huge alum in Wally Zerbiak who's going to sing your guys' praises, but has there been anybody that has reached out to you, not for an interview or anything, but just said something to you or gotten a message to you that is like, oh, that person's paying attention to us now? Or have you been, not to say starstruck, but has there been anybody that's taken notice that you're like, oh, I'm surprised that this has caught their attention?
It's funny. Like we've had a lot. All of our former players. I mean, they live and breathe, sleep Miami basketball. Which is awesome, man. So our phones are really buzzing after games and just on a day-to-day basis with all our former players and alumni. I don't know if there's been one guy specific, but it was cool. We had one of our former players. Shea came back, and he's a manager for Myles Garrett. Myles Garrett came to one of our games against Bowling Green.
Wow.
Which was really cool, man. He came back in the locker room. What a great dude he is. Could tell why he's a winner, man. Obviously he's an animal. I did not line up against him. I didn't say, hey, listen, I'm going to see. I didn't want to block him. I think he would have thrown me he wouldn't have thrown me into the wall. He would have thrown me through the wall.
Through that wall and the next one, probably. Yeah. I don't think all three of us together could take him, Coach.
But it was, but it's been cool. It's been as we've had our governor here in Ohio came to a game, Mike DeWine. He's a Miami guy, but just to get him back around, I think it's been cool to see how we've been able to connect our alumni base to the current, to the present. And then hopefully that'll impact the future as well, just with the visibility for the university's been able to get with just future enrollment. And so that piece has been really, really fun to watch. Just you see Miami gear everywhere now. Mm-hmm. We still live in Cincinnati, and there's a lot of Miami alums down there. And it's funny. It's like, man, everywhere there's Miami stuff now. I mean, it's just crazy. I've never seen that. I've lived in Cincinnati for 15, 16 years, man. I've never seen that.
So I wanted to ask too. So did you check your blood pressure after the Western Michigan game?
You talk about the halftime? Oh man. It's funny. Kelvin Sampson, I worked for him in Indiana. He said, man, he texted me. He said, sometimes your team needs tech, to get them going. Now I probably went a little overboard on that one. But again, it was a weird game, man. We were not playing well. We got to be better, and we were down obviously a couple guys as well. But it is what it is, man. It's the next man up, and I let my emotions get the best of me in that moment, and then I kind of recentered myself, and because our group does such a good job, guys. Like I will tell you, we've been in a lot of tight situations this year, where another team's going on a big run, and our group just stays totally unflappable. I mean, just in the moment. I wish everybody could be in our huddles during those moments. Just the conversation, the communication that's going from coaches to players, players to players, players to coaches, like just managers. I mean, like just, man, it's why we're good. It's why we're really, really, really good. So I think we get better in those moments because of that trait that we have.
And you mentioned Pete Suter, who's Carmel grad guy here in Indiana that dominated the high school scene for his all 4 years down at Carmel. I read Greg Doyle's profile on you from a couple of weeks ago, and he mentioned the recruit. You talked about the recruiting story of getting Pete to come over to Miami. Give our audience a perspective and how that all entailed of getting him from Bellarmine to over here.
Well, we played against them his freshman year at Bellarmine, and I remind Pete of this a lot. We beat them. right? So you can't beat them, you got to join them, right?
Yeah.
He doesn't like that, though. He doesn't like that.
Yeah.
It's under his skin. But I knew right away during that game, I'll never forget, I leaned over to our staff. I said, fellas, why the heck isn't this kid in Miami?
Mm-hmm.
And I never had a chance to recruit him, at Miami. But you could tell he was a fit. Well, fast forward, a year and a half later, and I'm in my car, man, 8-hour drive to this school, man, 8 hours, man, long drive, just myself.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need an assistant coach to drive me. I drive myself everywhere. Like some head coaches, man, they feel like they're above that. But I drove 8 hours, met with this kid. I'm not going to say his name, but I met with him and he committed. He'd already visited the weekend before, and I was excited about him. Good player. Well, on my way back, I see across Twitter that Peter Suter enters the transfer portal. And it's late. Like, it's late in the game. It's like kind of late April, if I remember right. And it was kind of like, oh, God. So I called Christian Smith, who went to Pike High School, who's got a ton of really good Indiana connections, played at Indiana State. I said, Kay, I said, man, we need to see if we can get involved with Peter. He's like, well, we just got that commitment. And I said, I know. I said, I'll deal with that in a little bit. I said, I think we got to go all in on Pete. That's who I want.
Yeah.
I don't want to deviate from that. I know exactly what I want, how we want to build this thing into the program that we want it to be. And so I called that young man and said, hey, listen, we're not going to be able to take you. I had no idea Peter was even interested at this point. Right? Like,
you're just throwing the reel out, hoping something catches it.
Listen, I'm hoping, because I knew exactly what I wanted. So I called Peter, and I'm on my way back, and I said, hey, listen, I will drive to Louisville right now.
Wow.
And see you. It was just the last day of the recruiting period, so I can't go see him the next day.
Right. Yeah. Right. This is it.
And he kind of hit me with, he said, Coach, he said, listen, I got a test tomorrow I'm studying for. And I said, Pete, it'll take me 2 minutes. Just let me honk my horn outside. I just wanted to make sure you are my guy. You don't even have to come out and say hello. I'm just going to be that weird, creepy stalker guy out in the parking lot, like honking at you. I didn't end up doing it. So he was like, hey, Coach, I'm busy with this. I said, oh, good. I was like, man, so I told Christian, I was like, man, I don't know if he's interested in this, man. I can't really tell. I said, but listen, we got to do everything we can to get this guy. He's the guy. And he visited us probably 2 weeks later, committed on the visit. Was a huge get for us. Obviously, great player, but he's an even better person. His mom and dad are rock stars, and he comes from a great family. He obviously was very well coached at Carmel. Ryan Osborne, winner, just an ultimate winner, man. And he's gotten so much better. I'm so proud of Pete. He's a coach on the floor for us in a lot of ways.
Yeah, so I wanted to ask because, I don't know if you're a big social media guy and pay attention to a lot of that stuff. That's our job. So I do it. But all I see all across the timelines is people, I don't know where this is coming from, but talking about how you guys may or may not make the tournament, which from my perspective, that makes no sense. There should be no argument.
Yeah.
But are you hearing any of those rumblings, or what's your response to that? I'm sure, at this point, you guys can only do what you can do on the court, but is that something that you're seeing?
Yeah, I'm sure our guys probably hear it more than I do. I'm not as much on social media and stuff, to be quite frank. But get focused on the things you can control. To win a MAC championship regular season title. Let's win a MAC tournament championship. Can we continue to get better every day? And if we do those things, then the rest of it will take care of itself. And that's the thing you learn in life, man. You don't want to leave things to chance. The good thing is we control our own destiny. But we got to have in order to do that, though, we got to have great practices, great film sessions, great lifts. We got to embrace that process. And our guys know that. And they've done a really good job with that. But again, it is out there, though. Our guys, listen, when you're 18 to 23 years old, you're all over social media. That's your life in a lot of ways, right? It's, so they see it and hear it. And we just address the elephant in the room and we just deal with it head on.
Coach, you have Toledo and Ohio this week. You have Toledo at home tomorrow. What's it been like to go from, I'll reference the Greg Doyle story once again. You said, back in your first game, first few games, at Miami, it felt like there was only 20 people in the stands. And now it feels like it's packed, and it is packed. You sold out, all the time. I just for reference went back and looked at the attendance in your first home game as the Miami head coach. You had 2,000 people there, but obviously Millette holds 10,000, and that's what it's been like recently. So what's it been like to go from feeling like 20 people, even though there was more than 20, to having 10,000 in that hall?
Man, I think those numbers are fudged. I'm gonna be honest. I think they included me, my whole staff, players, both teams,
the trainers,
trainers. Like, there ain't no way. Like
the concession people.
Listen, I could count them out. I was like, yo, this is not good.
Yeah.
I knew it was gonna be a rebuild, but I didn't realize it was gonna be that. No, it's been really cool to watch and just see grow. I mean, I it's funny. A good friend of mine, Mario Mercurio, he works at Xavier. We worked together for 15, 14 years. And he said, I don't know if people can appreciate it that don't know Miami. I mean, you go from, because we used to play at Miami when we were at Xavier back when we were in the A-10 days, and there'd be nobody at the games, man. Not many people, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
And then to what it is now. I mean, you got to go on StubHub. You got to go pay a couple $100 to get a ticket in the Millette Hall.
Right.
That's insane.
Yeah.
I mean, we were giving tickets away. I mean, just trying to I was paying you to come to the game, right? Jeez. And now, but again, we put a product out there that's worth getting behind.
Yeah.
And our marketing's done a great job. And I think, being able to connect the student body here is incredibly important. Right, they're the heartbeat of the arena, and I think people are, because Miami students love athletics. They just want to get behind stuff, and this isn't just men's basketball, man. Women's basketball is crushing it here.
Yep.
Football's great. Hockey rolling. Our softball team's crushing it right now. Field hockey. I mean, soccer, you name it. I mean, our sports have been off the charts, man. David Saylor knows what the heck he's doing. He's our athletic director. He hires really, really well. Golly, he's hired some great coaches here.
Yeah, Coach. Final one for me. What would it ultimately have you guys having the feeling of hearing your name called on Selection Sunday? No matter probably seed line opponent doesn't matter. Where you guys are at. Come this time on Selection Sunday. What would it mean for you guys to make the NCAA tournament and be on that big stage?
Yeah, it mean a lot. For our team and our program and our university, but we don't want to just make it. I do want to be crystal clear, man. Our goal, and I've told every one of these guys when we recruited them, the goal here is to make it to the second weekend in the NCAA tournament. I don't want to be that team that just happy, that just gets there and gets their teeth kicked in round one because they're happy and they're complacent. We've got winners in our locker room. We think we're going to win no matter who we're playing. Right. And we have that confidence that's so powerful, that belief. You can't, it's the most powerful thing in the world, man, it's belief. And our guys have that true belief in one another and in us and ourselves. And so, but it would be big for our program. And to be able to put ourselves in this position that we have, man, our players have done a great job of putting us in position to play meaningful games here in March. And now we just got to finish the race, right? So you see the finish line now is the time to sprint and not jog through that. You got to lean. I think that's what you do. I was never a sprinter. All right. So I kind of had some slower genes. All right. So, so like the sprinters, they would teach, I do know this because some of the fast buddies, they would lean through the the tape or whatever it was. Right. Yep. So I've seen people do it. I've never done it. All right, but I've seen people, we got to lean at the very end as well after sprinting through that line.
Coach, I don't know if you can tell by looking at us, but we're not sprinters either. So,
I try to hide mine as much as possible. So,
it's been the story of college basketball on the men's side this season. It's Miami, Ohio. They're 29-0 currently. They have 2 more regular season games plus the MAC tournament, and hopefully, coming from DC and I, we're hoping, we're supporting you, Coach. Hopefully you guys make the NCAA tournament and continue on this special season and do more than just, get to the tournament, like you said. So wish you the best. We wish you continued luck and health with your team. And thank you so much for coming on the show here today.
Thanks for having me on, guys.
Hey, thanks so much, Coach. You're the best.